everyone able to see my screen? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone to hear me also.
Yeah, we can.
So any doubts so far we covered, like things? Getting noise from someone. Okay. So I think it is Charan. Could you please mute from his side? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So any doubts till now? Like yesterday we covered so many things like why a rule set and what type of the class structure we'll be having and what are the yeah.
Pratap here. I have two doubts here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will ask one by one. Yesterday you created one concrete class like city tank loan work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, it's a class group.
Yes.
Again, actually for that you created a parent class as work hyphen. Obviously for home class group also you created a parent class as work hyphen object hyphen.
Yeah.
Remember that. What is that? Work hyphen and the work hyphen object hyphen. What is it?
Yeah. So even let's know about this also. A thread based class and work hyphen. And what is work hyphen? Object hyphen. This thing. So far, all these are which even these are also classes. Even these are also classes, but these are OOTB classes, out of the box classes, which when you install Pega itself, these classes will be coming. So, as we discussed from the first day, we discussed, right, like Pega will give so many out of the box rules, all the predefined rules it will give, like 10,000 plus rules it will give. So even in those rules, even in those predefined rules, there will be version and non-version rules, right? There will be version and non-version rules, obviously. Okay. Even to create, even for them to develop a create a rule, they need class. They need class and rule set. They need class and rule set, obviously, right? So these are the out of the box classes in which the out of the box rules will be. So every out of the box rule, every OOTB rule will be associated with a rule set, version, and class. So those classes are these things: header base class and work hyphen and work hyphen object hyphen. Like that, so many out of the box classes were there, like data hyphen, Going forward, we'll be seeing like when we use data hyphen. Yeah.
I got your point, but why you are explicitly using the work hyphen and work hyphen object? Because there are a lot of OOTB rules, right? In this particular case, why you using exactly?
So, and yesterday we discussed like the top level class of our application should have the inheritance as a thread-based class, and our class group should have the it should take the inheritance from work hyphen. We discussed like that. It's a Pega's rule. Pega is saying to have the inheritance path like that. Why? So even this also we discussed yesterday. Throughout the using Pega, what we are going to do, we'll be developing an application, right? We are saying when the end user runs the flow, a work object will be created. A work object will be created that will be a unique instance like this. That will be a unique instance like this. So it is generating a unique instance every time, right? If I went to the bank and applied for a loan, first it will create loan hyphen. After that, when the end user runs, it will create loan hyphen 2. Every time it is creating a unique instance, one by one. It is increasing. That logic is in work hyphen. That logic is in work hyphen. There is a predefined rule. That rule is in work hyphen. So anyway, we'll be creating the flow for our application. So to execute that logic, where we'll be creating the flow? In the childmost class. Here we'll be creating. To execute that logic out of the box logic, I should have access to that logic, right? I should have some A rule is there. Generally, that is this is the rule which will have the logic. Add work is the rule which will have the logic. I will show you now in logging in.
Okay, I got your point. Yeah, this is fine. And I'm working on 7.1.8 version. Okay, so in this, there I can able to directly create an organization through the wizard. Okay, back it's all creating by itself, right? Even I see that work class will be created automatically. So you don't need to create explicitly the states what you showed me yesterday.
No.
But in 1.8, it's not a mandatory anymore, right? So if you create an application, it will create automatically the work object, right?
Yes.
So, okay. Again, my second question. While I'm creating an application in 7.1.8, it's asking application structures, whether it is framework and implementations, or framework only, or implementation only. What is it?
Yeah. That's like maybe you are running a DCO tool, application profiler or accelerator. If I go with the topic now, you will be confused. That's why I'm not going with it. So let's introduce some rules like flow and properties and sections, some UI rules. After that, I will tell you about class structure. Like why do we have framework layer? Why do we have organization, division? What are all these types of layers? Going forward, we'll have.
Okay, in short note, whatever you described yesterday, it's a part of, this is one way of making an application, but in end of the day, we can be able to create in the wizard itself, right?
Yes, of course. But even this setup also you will not be doing, sir. What we are creating, the classes and rule sets and application, and this initial setup will not be doing this. Architects will be there, they will be taking care of this class structure and everything.
Okay.
This is nothing but initial setup, but we should know, we should have an awareness about this, why a class is needed and why a class group is required, why a class with belongs to class group is required. We should know about all these things.
So and, in real-time applications, the architects will create through wizard or the approach what you explained yesterday. How do they do that? Through wizard or through?
They'll create using wizard itself.
Okay, I have one more question. Initially, you created an organization, right? You told like for creating an organization also we need rule set.
Yeah.
Right. So first, what you did yesterday, you created one rule set called Citibank. Yeah. And then you showed me how to create an organization through wizard, but you never used that Citibank rule set.
Yeah, even that wizard automatically uses it as the rule set. So from the wizard itself, the rule set has been created, and first it will create the rule set behind the logic. It will not show you how it is creating. First it will create the rule set, and while creating the organization, it will associate the organization to that rule set. Everything that wizard will take care of.
Okay then.
Yeah. Clear?
Good.
And any doubts?
No, nothing.
Anyone? Yeah. Okay. So these are the classes and everything we have. Today we are going to see some more rules. We are done with the initial setup. So system architect at citibank.com, I think.
And one more question. Yesterday you created a organization structure everything using system architect.citibank.com, right? The same
Yeah.
stuff you can do using administrator at Pega also, right?
No. That for that operator, the application and everything will be different. For our application, we will be using this one only. And when the flow, just I'll create, I'll just explain you how a flow looks like, because you will be in confusion mode till you know how a work object looks like. After that, I will show you like why application, how you will be logging in, how you will be having access to this portal and everything. That is security.
Okay.
So first, we'll complete till the flow. Just a small flow. Let's create. After that, we'll be knowing about the security. After that, about the class structure.
Fine.
Like implementation layer, framework layer, everything. Okay. So this is the class structure yesterday we created. If you want to see the inheritance part, just right click on the class and click inheritance. It will show you the inheritance part. So there's a significance for this, like dots represents dot lines represents pattern inheritance, and straight lines represents directed inheritance. The blue lines represents dual inheritance, like pattern and directed both. So let's create a flow, and after that discuss about this also. Okay, why this is showing it like that. So we're going to discuss about today about properties. So what is a property? A property is a variable, nothing but a variable in other languages. So in Pega, we'll be calling it as property. Property rule. It is a rule type. It is a rule type. So what will it will do? It will hold value. Will hold the value. Just like you see in other languages, like a variable you will declare some variable x equal to 10, like that you will declare, right? Same like that, a property is a variable. So how do we create a property? Suppose I want to create the property in this class. I will right click on it. I'll right click on it, click on new, select data model, property. Property belongs to data model category. Property belongs to data model category. So just give the property name, FY first name. See, observe the name, property name which I am giving. See, I am giving it in camel case. The every word starting with a capital letter. It's Pega is saying to follow the naming convention like this. Pega is saying to follow the naming convention while creating the rules, any rule. You should create the rules in this camel case. Okay. It will not restrict you to create in starting with a small letter, but it's suggestion from Pega to create the rule like this. Okay. And observe, just a small question. This property rule is a version or non-version rule? Anybody? Is it a version or non-version rule? Just observe what are all the fields I am giving here.
Version rule.
Yeah, it's version rule. How in the sense? From the beginning itself, we are discussing like most of the version rules will be associated with a class under rule set version also. This is rule set. This is the version of that rule set. So seeing this only, you can able to know whether it is a version or non-version. So a property rule is a version rule. Just click on create. So every rule will be having multiple tags in it. So just the new template launched. This rule is not yet created. When you save only, it will be created. When you save this only, it will be created. So for every rule, history is mandatory. It will not restrict you to create without history. Okay, but it's in personal edition. If you don't give the history also, it will not throw any warning. But in enterprise edition, if you don't give the history, full description and usage, it will throw an exception. It will throw an exception warning like not documented. So if now I am the developer, I am one of the developer in this application, and I am out of this company. I am out of this project. The next developer who came in my place should know about this rule, right? That's why I will be mentioning this history in history tab, the full description and usage. So for property, will be giving this like this only. For any rule which will have the logic, we will explain here what that rule will be doing. Okay. So here property modes, we have multiple types: single value, value list, value group, page list, page group. Mostly we will be using these 6 only. We will not be using Java object list. These things we will not be using because most of the situations will not be writing any Java code. This is not at all required. These property modes. And the one which I am creating is single value. I'll explain you what is a value list and what is a value group, what is a page list and page group. And like other variables in other technologies or even in database, for a column will be having data types. Same like that. These are the data types: text, identifier, password, integer, double. These are the data types available. So click on save. Click on save. This rule has been created. This rule has been created.
Here once again.
Yeah.
Here the first name you created property under loan-work. It's a concrete class, right? Inside the concrete class, you created this property.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, the concrete class directly related to the Pega tables, right? So once you create the property, you create a column over there, or what?
No. So for rules, there will be different tables. So of course, a concrete class will be connected to a table, but every rule will be having a out of the box table. So a rule is, see, property is a rule, right? There will be a out of the box class behind that. So go to the rules explorer. Go to the rules explorer. Just click the dot which you are able to see. Expand property and meta model category, and click here. This is the out of the box class which is behind property rule. Okay. So when you test connection, when you click on test connection, here the property rule which I created now will be saved here in this table.
Okay, it's a different table.
Yeah. That is not the table where class group is connected.
Okay.
all these are, see, every rule will be having class behind it. Data transform, it has a rule, it has a table behind it, PR_4 rule. Like that, every rule will be having a class behind it, and that will be connected to a different table. All those are rule tables, we used to say, rule tables.
And again, one more here, for this property, if you see, this class does not belong to a class group. Actually, if you create a concrete class, we have one more option. Does not belong to a class group. If you create that, you don't create any tables, right?
Does not belongs to class group, we will be using it in a condition, like going forward, we'll see. We'll be creating a class like that. Why do we create and everything, I will explain. Okay. So as of now, we covered just in concrete class, we covered two types only. That is a class group and belongs to class group. And going forward, we'll be introducing that also, like does not belongs to class group, and we'll be explaining. I'll be explaining you everything, like why do we create that. Okay, I have created a property first name, and I want to create another property. Last name. You can create multiple properties at a time, not single thing. You have a wizard. We have a wizard to create multiple properties. That is define properties. Just right click on data model or right click on the class where you want to create. Right click on that. Click on define properties. Just give the last name, email, ID, phone number, country, state, gender, so I want to create all these properties. Just click on finish. So all these properties were created. You don't need to open that and verify whether it is created or not. All these will be created. See, expand here, data model, property. See, all these properties were created. That is define properties wizard. From there, you can create multiple properties at a time. So, I want to make this as part of the UI. I want to refer in the UI room. So, S. So here, section comes into the picture. Even section is also a rule type. It belongs to user interface category, rule category, and it is a part of the UI. It is a part of the UI. It is a granular level. It is a granular level rule in UI rules. It is a granular level in UI rules. Like granular, like it's a low level rule. So let's create a section. It belongs to user interface category, new user interface section. I'm just giving the section name collect personal info. See, if you observe, a section will have layouts. A section will have layouts where you define the fields. Where you will be defining the fields. So there were multiple types of layouts. There are 3 types of layouts. From this menu, you can drop a layout. Just click here and select the layout and drop here. And it will open a small window. Here it will ask you to select the type of the layout which you want to use. The default one, when the section rule is launched, the default layout, when the section rule launched, the default layout is smart layout. And we have another layout, freeform and repeating grid. Let's know about this freeform. Going forward, we'll be knowing about this repeating grid. Okay. A template is nothing but a smart layout. A freeform layout. Let's drop a freeform layout. I have dropped this. So the basic difference between smart layout and freeform layout is, for freeform layout, you can adjust the width and everything. See, the size of the field and everything, I can adjust the width, adjust the size of the field. But whereas in smart layout, that feature is not available. You cannot adjust. Those are fixed. But whereas in freeform layout, you have the option to adjust the width. And there is a difference in here, like from 6 to 7, from 6 version to 7. In 7 version, these 2 layouts were not there. Smart and freeform layouts were not there. We only have dynamic layout in 7. They introduced dynamic layout in 7. What's the use of that is responsive UI. The same application which you developed in Pega, in this Pega, you can launch it in a laptop or any big screen or a tab or a mobile. Based on the size of the screen, it will automatically adjust the screen, the applications, it automatically resizes the application. Okay, that is nothing but responsive UI. That is there in Pega 7. That is not there in 6. So look and feel they changed very much in 7. So they introduced dynamic layout. This topic came, that's why I discussed about that. So for freeform layout, you can adjust the width and everything. For smart layout, you cannot. So most of the layouts which we use in real time are smart layouts. Most of the layouts which we use in real time are smart layouts. Sorry, freeform layouts. So if you want to delete the layout, any layout, so for what you have to do, when you select this wireframe only, you will be able to see the layout. Okay, you can select any of the layout. If I want to delete this one, just select this icon, delete the row. Okay, or else and I want to drop once again, like you can select the option like 3 columns 3 rows, or else 3 columns 4 rows, like this you can select. Okay, like this you can select, and if you want to delete this any layout, just select that layout and delete this. And copy paste also option available. If you want to copy and paste again, paste below, these options are also available. You can copy a layout and paste below or paste above. Okay, so now I want to use the properties which I created in this layout. How can we do that? So just expand the data model category, and property, expand the property rule type, and select the dot, select the blue dot which you are able to see here, and drag it and drop in the field. Drop here. Okay, so now this property, first name property, is part of the UI, user interface. So like that you can drop multiple properties. I'm dropping the last name and email ID and phone number, and marital. I want to add a row. Right click on it, insert row below, or else if you want to another row, you will be having the icon here also. Even clicking on this, you can add another row, or else right click, you will be having the options. So now I want to drop the gender and then country. I want to insert another row and then state. So this is the section which I am displaying. I am going to display now. So just mention the history, in history tab, mention the full description and usage, and click on save. When you save only, that will be created. See, you are able to see new section, right? When you save, you will be able to see the section name. Collect person info. This is the section name. Now this rule is being created. Okay. So you can preview it. How does it look like in the user interface? How the end user will see. You just click on preview button. This is how the end user is going to see that. They can enter the values like this, or else you can run. If you want to open it in a new window, just run it. Click on run button. This is how it will look like for the end user. Okay. So a part of the UI rule is finished. Okay. So now we are designing an application for the business process, right? So we have to create a flow. We have to create a flow. So work object should be created. Everything that should be processed through a defined process. That should be go through a defined process. That defined process will be creating everything in a flow rule. In a flow rule. A flow rule belongs to process category. Process category. Click on the class where you want to create the flow and select new. Select the process category and click on flow. So it's a norm like the flow will be creating at the childmost layer, at the childmost class. So most probably we'll be creating the flow here only, like at the childmost class. Why? Because the childmost class will have access to all the classes in the parent layer. See, let's see the inheritance diagram. Here we will be creating a flow. That is nothing but work class. Where the flow is created is known as work class. Okay. If we create here, it will be having access to all these rules. It will be having access to all the rules in these classes. If I create the flow here, I will be missing some rules. If I create the flow here, there may be some rules in this class. I may be missing those rules. So that's why we'll be creating the flow at the childmost layer, at the childmost class. So now I'm creating the flow here. Right click on new, right click on the class, new, process, flow. Provide the flow name. City, home loan, application. See, when the flow rule launches itself, you will be able to see some shapes, right? These are all nothing but shapes. See, this is start shape, end shape. A flow can have single start shape, but can have multiple end shapes. It can have single start shape, but it can have single end shape. Okay, and if coming to the flow, while developing an application, Pega defined 10 guardrails. They are saying to follow all these guardrails. Among those, the first one is adopt an iterative approach. Design a robust class structure. And flow should not have more than 15 shapes. So to reduce the shapes in the flow, we have another supplement that provided. So going forward, we will discuss. So flow should not have more than 15 shapes. That's one of the guardrail suggested by Pega. Okay. So I want to make the UI which I created as part of the flow. How can I make it as part of the flow?
Sandeep, one second.
Yeah.
So in this flow, you are telling a flow should not exceed 15 steps, right? So in this start and stop also is included, or only the actions are included?
No, only which performs an action.
Okay.
Those are excluded. Start in mostly will not be following that guard, right? That I'm just we got the topic right. I'm just discussing about that. I'm just letting you know. Okay, so we'll be having very big flows, and we'll maybe having 30 shapes in a flow, 30 shapes, 40 shapes in a flow. Okay, in real time. Okay, yeah. So I want to make the UI which I want to make the UI which I created earlier. I want to make that as part of the flow. So to make it as part of the flow, I need a flow action. I need a flow action. I need a flow action. So let's create a flow action. New data model. Sorry, new. Even flow action also belongs to user interface category. Create the flow action. In a flow action, we can have multiple sections. In a flow action, we can have multiple sections. I will tell you why we have to create, and they would have provided everything in a rule, but why did they provide a section, why did they provide a flow action, everything, I will let you know why. So now I am creating the flow action, colored, personal.
Once again,
Yeah.
we created a flow in home class, right? Well, now we are creating work class.
Yeah. Mostly the UI rules and we will be creating in the parent classes. And anyway, the child class will be having the access to the parent classes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If here I have only one work type, I might be having another class. So I will create another class. New sysadmin class work hyphen auto. It's a concrete class. The version, and it is belongs to the class group. So and even you have to have this work hyphen object hyphen. So now I have two work types. So two work types, I have two work classes. Nothing but two work classes, a work type who is to say. Okay. So if I created the class group layer or the top layer, so that will be accessible by these two classes, right? So the UI rule which I created may be common for these two work types. May be common for these two work types. So these two classes should have access to this rule, access to this section rule. So if I create here, this will not be accessing. If I create that section rule in auto class, Citibank loan auto, this work type, if I create here, this class will not be having access to that. If I create in home, auto will not be having access to the rule. If I create in the parent layer, these two will be having access to that rule, right? So that's why I created the UI rule like that. Got your answer? Got the answer for? Yeah. So now I'm creating a flow action. So in a flow action, we can have multiple sections. Now I'm dropping the section which I created earlier. So expand this one and drag it and drop here. And mention the history. And even the flow in flow action there were types, connector and local action. We'll discuss later. Today my motto is to show you how a work object look like. So with that lots of confusion clearing for you. That's why I'm trying to show that thing. So flow action has been created. I just want to include that in the flow. So the flow action will be mentioning in the connector which is emanating from the assignment shape. So why a assignment shape is needed? Why a assignment shape is needed? So user has to enter all these fields, right? User will be entering all these fields. When he runs the flow, he has to enter all these fields. Okay. Nothing but he is performing an assignment there. He is doing an action. He is doing an action. He is performing an assignment there. So that is nothing but an assignment. That's why we have an assignment shape in the flow. When the user is going to perform an action in the UI, you will be having an assignment shape, and the flow action you will be mentioning. And the flow action you will be mentioning in the connector which is emanating from the assignment shape. Right click on, double click on the connector which is emanating from the assignment shape and mention the flow action which we created earlier. Collect personal info. And click on save. Save the flow rule.
Here, in a flow action, we can drag and drop multiple sections, right? Or only one section is allowed in the flow action?
We can have multiple sections in a flow action.
Okay.
So the rule is being created. Just click on run. This is the screen, initial screen before the work object is created. So when you click on create only, the work object will be created. I'm just deleting this. That is default. By default, all those will be coming. We can, if you don't want the thing, we can disable that also. If you don't want this thing, let's see. Let's create a work object. Just click on create. See, W128. This is a work object created. So I have run so many work objects. I have created so many work objects in now. So that's why it is showing me W128. Okay. Okay. So and the status is new. And when this rule set. See, now I disable